Welcome to Castles to Cauldrons, where every journey starts with a little bit of magic.
Welcome to episode 55 of Castles to Cauldrons. I'm your host, Jason Davis. I'm here with Micah and Terry, and joining us is Taylor for her third time on the episode. Welcome to Castles to Cauldrons, Taylor.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Yay.
Rachel is once again, she has some personal issues she's going with and taking care of the kids tonight. So they had to split up.
Super mom tonight.
Yes. So we miss you again. So maybe next week we'll have her with Lauren. You know, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe Lauren.
She might show up this episode. Who knows?
Who knows?
I just got back from Disney World and Universal from a vacation. Well, I think we're going to more hit on that next week on our episode. But spring break is definitely in session. I don't know how bad the lines were when you were there, Terry, but
They were not bad at all.
Teacups was a 25-minute wait. And it was like a 15, 20-minute wait to get on the carousel. I was like, oh my God.
No. We like waited in line for those just because it wasn't over yet. And so the next round we were on there.
Yeah, we did not do them because I wasn't waiting 25 minutes to ride in a cup.
Yeah. We did them as time killers. Like we had extra time and didn't have anything to do. So we rode them. Yeah.
That's usually, Travis wanted to ride the teacups. He saw a video of it and he was like, Daddy, I want to ride the purple one because they're the fastest. I'm like, okay. And walked over there and it's 25. I'm like, no, sir.
I could not imagine waiting for 25 minutes. You know, I did wait that long at Disneyland to ride.
It's a little bit more iconic though.
But it was also while the nighttime parade, like the nighttime parade was going by. So we were on the teacups getting pictures while the floats were going by behind us. So it was worth, we were watching the parade while we were in line. So we felt like it really wasn't waiting in line.
No, that's a good wait.
I will say this about the trip because I want to do more we did more Universal stuff. So we can talk about that more next week. But the Starlight Parade.
So good.
I loved it. I was like so skeptical going in. Absolutely loved it.
They were so big. Floats were a lot bigger than I was expecting.
Yeah, it was. And the detail, like it was a lot of Paint the Night, reminded me a lot of Paint the Night. But then it just like had the great music. I don't think the music's as iconic as Spectro or Paint the Night or even Main Street, but bringing in some of those Main Street themes. I'd sit there and wait an hour for it for sure.
Well, we stumbled on it because we were coming out of Haunted Mansion, which is at the end, of that route. And we got a front row seat. We just kind of like, it had already started. You could, kind of hear it on Main Street. And so we walked to kind of across from like the Diamond Horseshoe and like stood there, and where they had it taped off, there was a corner where a guy was standing recording, and I guess he didn't like his view. So he moved and took he had like a bag and equipment, but it was enough space for me and my two kids to just move right up there to the front on the corner and watch the whole thing. It was like perfect timing, perfect seats. It couldn't have worked out any better. And I loved it.
I will say, it confuses me. I knew what it was. I knew it comes down Main Street going toward the castle the first time and then it returns by coming back down Main Street toward the fire station. So it was weird watching a parade go the opposite direction to start. I'm like, man, this is so weird.
And I guess I do that for crowd purposes at the end to not have everyone funneling to the end of the Main Street.
But it didn't work when I was there. Everybody watched the parade and
I haven't seen it work either.
Yeah, it was like everybody went straight to the hub, and it's like, okay.
Well, then no, I was saying like I didn't, because we went to ride more rides after it. So I was saying maybe I didn't know what the whole reason of taking it in reverse was.
I think it's like you said, crowd control for people to leave out of the park if they're watching the parade. They can just leave out without worrying about backing everybody up.
Yeah,
but everybody's still trying to go out. So I guess maybe the sidewalks, people can get down the sidewalks and follow the parade up Main Street or something like that. I don't know, but
people start standing there too for fireworks. Like as soon as that's over, it's like people just settle in.
And that's what we just moved up. We sat on the curb in front of the Emporium and then moved up to the hub and stood in the middle of the street.
And that's the awkward part about it too, because now you're like part of the parade.
Yeah.
Trying to get your spot for fireworks. You're like
waving
to everyone going by.
The great thing was like 10 minutes before the parade was supposed to start, Travis looks at me and goes, Dad, I got to go potty. I'm like, awesome kid.
No, you don't.
So we ran to the bathroom by the fire station, used the bathroom. And by the time we made it back, they had already cleared Main Street. So I was like, hey, stand right here. And I got a picture of him on Main Street by himself with the castle in the background. And then we went back to his seat. But that was the cool little thing for him.
Yeah. I'm sad that in May I won't get to see it because we're going to the Banana Ball game. So we won't be in Magic Kingdom while the parade's going on.
Well, September, if we ever get the dates for Universal AEP, what we need to do is plan our
We'll do a not so
Disney
scary
day.
night.
Either on a non not so scary
A
night.
not so scary night. Yeah.
Yes, or we just do not so scary. We won't see the parade, but
We'll
Yeah.
do the Halloween parade.
yes,
Mhm.
which is a
Boo to
good
You
parade.
is so good.
While I was on vacation, the Oscars aired. I mean, we talked about it last episode, a bunch of movies and everything like that going on.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing that came out of the Oscars for us Disney fans was a Disney Cruise Line commercial, which really blew up social media.
I just watched it, and it was, I don't know if you saw me over here. I was like patting my eye. I'm like looking away because it really does make you tear up. I guess if you're a parent, maybe more than.
Well, I mean, Taylor, she said that she was kind
That's
of
true.
weepy-eyed watching.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Disney does know how to pull at all of the heartstrings. And
Yeah.
I think that's just always part of their marketing because they hit you with a nostalgia.
Uh-huh.
That's such a
Yes.
big emotion. So they know how to do it well.
One of the podcasts I listened to actually today on the way to work, they were talking about it, and they said that they actually completely missed something that would have been a huge marketing. They very much point the treasure as the ship that this is all happening on. But so if you haven't watched the commercial, it's parents taking their newborn, and the newborn can't sleep, so the dad takes them out for a walk, and then it's just playing the up music as it's going through, and the kid's growing, and then finally it comes to the end where the now dad comes and knocks on his dad's door because his son won't go to, or his child won't go to sleep. I don't know if it's a boy or girl. I can't remember.
Nice little girl.
Yeah, so they go out, and it's a tradition of walking at midnight on the cruise line. So this podcast, they were talking about, you should have started it with like the magic or the wonder with them walking around, and then
Oh, yeah.
the fantasy, and then to the newer ships, because it's like, it's not just something that happens on the one ship. It's you're making memories on all these ships
Yeah.
and watching your kid grow through all the ships.
I'm saying tailoring them to your kid as they grow or as their
And-
interest.
Yeah.
Give them
Yeah.
a really good segue for the like here the intimacy of the smaller ships with the younger kids versus what all the bigger ships have to offer when it comes to your older kids. So I was like, yeah, that
And I think it was an opportunity to end on the wish because they do the kiss goodnight at midnight. And so if they're out walking around at midnight, they should have shown that because I don't think
Mhm.
enough people know about that.
And it's all those new ships have some similar version. I think the Wish is probably the best one that I haven't seen personally, but I've seen the videos of. Because the Black Panther one is not. I don't even know what the Kiss Goodnight is there. It's just something marvelous, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Treasure, it's
It's
more.
like jungle-esque music, kind of. I'm not really into anything Marvel, so I don't know like the backstory of it, but it's like green lighting and jungle music and things like that.
And then Treasure, I think, is a whole new world or something to that nature with Aladdin. So yeah, ending with A Dream Is a Wish would have been amazing for their Kiss Goodnight.
Mm-hmm.
Great commercial. A lot of tears around the USA when that came through. I wonder if they showed it in the Oscars because ABC is owned by Disney naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious if some of the Leonardo DiCaprio is booking a Disney trip now because he saw the DCL commercial in the Oscars.
I don't think Leo's going on Disney.
I don't- Well, no,
I don't think.
I don't know. That's his
uh,
age demographic, though.
I think it's too young for his age demographic.
it's right
Too
there.
old. I mean, he's not in the no.
25. Isn't 25 his age?
I think 22 to 25 is his demographic.
You can
So
get
small
that there.
window.
I mean, there's those college girls that are going.
I was gonna say the little kids might be a bit too much for him.
But I mean, if he believed in it, he could do it. The Disney did announce their new cruise ship, which is the Disney Believe. That's all we know about it. So I figured with this time, we can kind of speculate what would we want to see because the Wish is very much a princess theme with the fairy tales. And then the Treasure is the adventure type stuff. It's kind of a mix of princess and princes where if you have both a boy and a girl kid, that really lends itself to that. And then the Destiny is naturally heroes and villains and very much more male themed to it when it comes to the heroes. So what would you want to see in the Disney Believe when it comes the statue in the middle, the whole, whatever?
I think it should be Pixar themed, like have a Pixar themed cruise too, because I mean, it's all part of Disney. I feel like that's not represented enough. I know they have like the Pixar Days at Sea, but like it's still not as represented on the cruise line as the other stuff.
Yeah, it's like the sweet shops usually are the Pixar type theme stuff.
I'm trying to think of a movie. 'Cause when you said treasure and Aladdin, like in my head that automatically clicked because, the treasure and everything. And so that's why I was like,
And
I don't
destiny
know.
makes sense for like heroes and villains because like that's their
Yeah.
destiny to do these things. Like they feel like that.
I think believe is such a broad topic that it's almost harder to like nail down a specific movie of
Look,
like,
I'm just going to throw it out there. The atrium statue, Kermit on the log, with the Christian Knight in Rainbow Connection, or on the whole, you could have Gonzo and Fozzie trying to paint. That would be fun. Gonzo
Yeah.
with the chickens or something like that. I think that would be fun. There's no representation anywhere. Well, I think the Disney Dream has the Muppet scavenger hunt, but there's no representation for the Muppets outside of that when it comes to the actual boats or ships.
None of us are surprised that that's your answer.
like on the old timey ships where they would have like on the very front point, the bow, they would have like the mermaid, like with her hair flowing. And all I'm picturing now is like Miss Piggy up there with like her hair blowing in the wind with her little blonde curls.
With her seashells.
Yes, I think that'd be cute. But believe, that's such a broad, like you said with Pixar, I feel like a bunch of those are basically if you believe you can do it situations.
Well, what
I don't know if it ties into the name at all, but I personally don't really want this, but I think because they haven't brought back these itineraries, maybe it's going to be heavily into Star Wars. Because Star Wars Day at Sea was really big, just like Pixar Day at Sea is really big, and they haven't brought back those itineraries, and I know people are really missing them. So I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I can't say I would be absolutely stoked about that. But I wasn't really excited about the theming for the Destiny, and I really, really enjoyed sailing on that ship. So I don't know. I try to keep an open mind, but maybe Star Wars.
There's 3 ships, right, left. So they have this one and then 2 more. One's supposed to go to Japan with the people who, I can't remember the name of the company that owns Tokyo.
Oriental Land Company.
I was thinking like International Land Company. I'm like, that's not it. So I wonder, I think that would be a good idea. Do a Star Wars one and a Pixar one. Like that would actually make sense because you could have Rey. They'd probably be stupid and put Rey as I'm not saying I don't like Rey just as a character. I'm not saying you can't have a female Star Wars character and it's the statue. But I would put like Han and Luke and Leia as your statue. Or
I said they're the
I like Chewie because he kind of crosses over into like the old and the new.
But at the same time, you have all the Star Wars fans who didn't go to hyperspace or whatever it was called.
I don't know if
Galactic
Star
Star
Wars fans are
Cruiser.
cruise people.
I think it gives, if Disney does different themes like that, it makes people go, well, now I need to go on that ship to experience that theme and those things that they have for that. I feel like if they do like a Pixar one, there's going to be people who are like, well, I need to go so I can experience, like, I don't know, go stay in an up room and see the up show, like whatever they're doing with it. Like, I feel like it makes people want to do the different ships.
Maybe this will be a Fox themed ship because they haven't done anything with, this 20th century, I should say, since it's
Like
not Fox
X-Men
anymore.
and stuff.
And they can put Titanic on here.
That's
Gosh.
a terrible
I don't think
thing.
that'd be a good idea.
Terrible marketing.
And that'll be like your Alaska cruise, your
You can do
Oh my God.
you can do Titanic, Alien, Predator.
This is your
The
adults
Broadwell
only
style
cruise.
show is Titanic.
Alien versus Predator at sea.
Yeah. You turn off all the lights in this ship for one night. Instead of your pirate night, it's your Alien versus Predator night, and everybody hunts each other.
It's like that game kids play in high school where they have like the water guns and they like assassinate people.
They've had to stop that in a lot of high schools.
Ours were like one of the girls was wearing a floaty to church the other day. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, it's some game I'm playing for my senior year. And then we ran into one of the other kids in Magic Kingdom. He had his swim goggles on. And I'm like, what are those?
He can't be shot if they're protected by their things.
There are people that play like baseball games. Like they'll have something on during games so they're not shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was.
I would just be
20
like, somebody
years ago.
just get this over with. I don't want to keep playing this dumb game.
Besides pride, what do you win in the end?
Nothing, probably.
Yeah, ego boost.
According to ChatGPT, if y'all want to hear what believe themes for Disney are, the classic ones are Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Dumbo.
Dumbo would be good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we all know
Dumbo and Peter Pan.
That's why I said Peter Pan because they're flying and stuff like that.
And
Cinderella,
you
I
have
just
to
feel like,
believe to get to be able to fly.
Well,
yeah.
Cinderella's on the Wish, so you can't really use her
Mhm.
again. Peter's on one ship. Isn't he on Treasure? On the back of Treasure? So you can use him on the inside.
Modern Disney, they said that was Frozen, Moana, and Encanto.
There you go. Frozen.
It'll be Frozen or Encanto. Guarantee
So-
it.
Yeah, definitely Encanto. They could really that
Because
show
whole
is
house.
crazy.
I feel like Moana would fit really well, like for adventure though too, because like her entire story is like an adventure. Like that's what
I
she's
feel
doing.
that's more, like you said,
Yeah.
that's more adventure. I feel like the whole theme of that is not like a believe. I feel like believe's kind of flowy, you know?
Encanto for the atrium, and then the dinner show, which is Lion King and Coco. That would be Moana.
Yeah.
Because it has more of the recognizable songs and everybody knows them and whatnot. They got 3 movies by the end of this year.
And
That's
Encanto,
right,
I
live
feel like it'd be
action
a
does come
pretty
out.
theme, you know, because you're already stopping at tropical
I don't know. I
climates.
feel like Encanto would be a fun dinner show too.
Yeah, I could see them doing Encanto more for the dinner show, especially with like the scenery that they could do in the restaurant with all the flowers and everything.
And like even just the whole like sequence that they have in the movie of where everyone's singing their different parts and the stuff's moving on the table, like they almost could
That's
like
what I was thinking.
recreate that like as like
Big
a show.
cast.
Yeah.
Did any of y'all see Disney on Ice that traveled through this year?
This year's.
Well, they had
Haven't seen this since
the
kid.
particular one that came through here had Encanto was a big part of that one. You know, they have songs and the donkeys that danced for this Disney on Ice, they got down. And if they could do something like that for a show, the donkeys were the best part. Like these girls were basically, I mean, they weren't twerking like dirty twerking, but they were on all fours because they were donkeys with their butts. I mean, we could not stop laughing. It was the most like just entertaining part of the whole show. And so if they, like you said, I could see that for like a dinner show kind of thing because there's such a big cast of characters and the theming and songs and things like that.
The one thing I think would be fun on a Disney ship, I don't know if they would ever consider it, and they probably can't do it because of licensing, but the ice shows they have on Royal Caribbean, they were cheesy and fun and good, like all at the same time. If they could do a small Disney on Ice show on the ship, I would be all for it.
That would be pretty cool.
would be
on a ship.
Like it could be as cheesy as you want it to be. No one's expecting it to be great,
Right.
but let Disney do it, and it would probably be one up from what the company that does it now on touring. It'd probably be really, really cool.
Because aren't some of those people like Olympic skaters that do that show? Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like, you're an ex-Olympian. Why are you skating for Disney on
Because
Ice?
that like that's the sport they play. It's not always the job that they have because they
I was
have
gonna
like
say.
other jobs that they do.
What's up? It's Tara Lipinski, and I don't know the dude's name. I had a huge crush on Tara Lipinski. That's the only reason.
Scott
I know.
Hamilton.
Johnny Weir.
Yes. Did anyone watch Traders?
Could you imagine if they decided, hey, we're going to Disney on Ice instead of being commentators for NBC?
But I don't think it's they're
Iconic.
like top Disney. I mean, ice skaters.
Well, yeah, she was like a gold medalist or something like that. And I don't know what, like I said, I never paid attention to him. I was more focused on.
Can I just say I felt like I just showed my age because I said Scott Hamilton, who was one of the older ones. I didn't even think about Johnny Weir. That didn't even cross my brain.
Let's move over to a little bit of rumor news that I heard before we move into our main topic. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Avatar has been put on hold at Disneyland. In California Adventure, they're going to close Monsters in 2027. One of the recent rumors I heard was that it's actually because Avatar's box office hasn't been doing as good. The first movie made like $2 billion. The second movie made close to $2 billion, but not as much. This third one crossed over, I think, at $1.5 billion. So it's slowly going downhill, which makes Disney second guess if they want to build a second theme park attraction based off of land that is slowly losing popularity, and then having to pay James Cameron on top of it for the royalties to his property.
Mm-hmm.
The rumor is that Zootopia might be coming to Disneyland because the footprint that they have for Avatar Land, which is that Hollywood area of California Adventure, is slightly bigger or smaller, one of the two, than the Zootopia Land in Shanghai. And it's the same ride system that Mickey and Minnie uses for their ride out there. So you wouldn't have to bring people up to date on how to maintain these versus the Avatar ride, which would be using the Pirates of the Caribbean from Shanghai. What are y'all's thoughts? Like, I personally think this would be amazing if it's true, because I don't want to go from Disney World to California and do Avatar, even though it's a different ride.
Hmm.
I would rather
Yeah.
go to Disneyland for a different experience.
I
Yes.
was going to say the same thing. It should have both parks shouldn't be almost identical to each other because
Mhm.
you have no incentive to go to the other ones then.
No, I love the idea of Zootopia. I feel like that they could do so much with that, like with all the different areas, especially with Kova watched Zootopia 2, where we met like the reptiles and stuff. And Kova's like, did you know that in movie number 3 we're gonna meet birds? Like he just like has his whole idea set, like where you can do these different things with the animals. I just really love that idea.
Yeah, I'm all here for it too. I also think about how at Animal Kingdom, the Zootopia show that they did constantly has like a 35-minute wait.
It's
Mhm.
It's a
good.
show.
Yeah.
And it's so good. I don't go to Animal Kingdom often, but when I do, I have to go see it because I love it. And It's Tough to Be a Bug was never more than 10 minutes. And
Mhm.
yeah, it had been there forever. I loved that show. But I think if a show can do that well for Zootopia here, if they build out an entire land for it and have an actual ride attraction, I'm definitely down.
Mhm.
And I like that a lot better than Avatar anyway. So
I was
I'm
gonna say,
biased.
I've seen both Zootopias, never seen an Avatar movie.
Same. Same here.
I've seen all of Zootopias and all of the Avatars, and I would love Zootopia. I also think, like, my complaint with DCA right now is Guardians of the Galaxy. When you walk in, that tower looks so out of place when you have the 1920s Hollywood, LA
Mhm.
as the entrance, that if you put an alien planet on the other side of it, while it might fit the theme for that portion, it still kind of takes you out of the 1920s. But if you put Zootopia back there and you have their cityscape,
Yeah, it's a mini city.
yeah, you still
Mhm.
have kind of a consistency of like, this is the old area of Hollywood, and then
Mhm.
here's the newer stuff back here, so you kind of flow a little bit better.
And like you said, it's Disney IP, so they won't have to pay a James Cameron or someone like that for rights and
knows?
everything.
Who knows how much? I mean, it's probably somewhere. If I Googled it, we could probably find out how much they owe. I mean, I think Spielberg still gets like 2% of the gate fee for Universal at this point. So James Cameron's probably getting like at least that for Avatar.
I
But
hope
I'm,
Yeah.
that's actually what happens because I
I
feel
just-
like it would be hard to top like Flight of Passage because that's such a good ride. Even people who don't like Avatar, like that's a really good ride. And I feel like for the newer movies, it would be hard to come up with a ride that's like as good and like everyone wants to go ride it.
now, and what was it? I think it was Iger. At this point of us recording, Iger has been out of the CEO position for 2 days, and tomorrow has been in. But I can't remember if it was which one it was that said that Avatar is still a go in Disneyland, but they never really concrete said this is where it's going.
Mhm.
So with Disneyland Forward, they could put Avatar in Disneyland Forward, really flesh it out a little bit more, make it more seamless to where it needs to go, than right there next to the Hollywood area.
Well, I just don't like, Star Wars and Land has and I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I feel like that was an established fandom that they like. I just don't think there's that fandom out there for Avatar. I mean, I don't really know the people going to see these movies, honestly.
Well,
I
we're
mean,
seeing-
they're out there, but I don't see them as like, you Comic-Cons and things like that. People dress up for Star Wars and there's, hardcore fans that talk about it. I never hear anyone talk about Avatar.
yeah, you have
Or
the
obviously seen the movies, but
you have a big convention once a year, Star Wars Celebrations. That's like Star Wars Comic-Con. But then what Disney screwed up with Star Wars was putting it at the sequel trilogy that no one really cared for.
Yeah.
The nerds like me. We wanted to see the Luke, the Leia, the Han, the Chewie, all those guys. We didn't care anything about Rey, Kylo, Finn. So you just took us away from that. And if you do that with Avatar, the way they fixed Avatar, though, was they put it so far in the future. I think it's 30 years past the last movie that Cameron was supposed to make. So it's all aged out, and that's why it looks the way it does with all the moss and rust on the machines,
Mhm.
because the humans have left the planet at that point. We're just coming in there as visitors. So I don't know how you do that over in Disneyland.
Speaking of Flynn, who they cast as the live action Flynn Rider was a perfect casting, I think. Milo, what's his
casting?
name? Yeah, his
I
name
don't know.
Milo. He's from the zombie movies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You haven't seen it?
I've seen it, but I don't know who
He's gonna
they
be a
cast.
good Flynn Rider. When he was at the Oscars and he did the glam bot, he did the smolder at the end, and he did a really good job.
Who was rumored to play Rapunzel for that?
They cast her. I thought
It was
they,
rumored Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's not it.
And I thought she would be like, I like her singing voice, so I think she would have been good.
I think she would have been a good one because she's campy. Like she's very like
I guess I'm just not a Sabrina Carpenter.
But I also think that her
Sabrina.
her appeal right now isn't the Disney full on Disney look.
Right.
She makes a better Miss Piggy
Yeah.
counterpart than she makes Rapunzel. I'll put it like that. She does the great when she did the Muppets thing. That's so, like I said, she's very campy, theatrical.
Yeah.
You know, big eyes, big makeup, little body.
They cast Tegan Croft from the Titans as Rapunzel and Milo Manheim as Flynn Rider.
And then what's her name? From Agatha.
Catherine, what's her name? Yeah. She's gonna be a great Mother Gothel.
Yeah, she is.
I feel like right now
Catherine Hahn.
I feel like right
She's the
now the
best.
casting is actually really good for that movie, as much as we're all tired of live action remakes. But
I think
think
they
that
do
one's
better
good.
when you don't know the actors.
yeah.
Because once you know the actors, I think you have an expectation and they don't meet it.
Uh-huh.
But if you don't know the actors, you're kind of going in with low expectations almost. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they really nailed that.
Then they also have rumors that Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi are going to be the king and the queen, Rapunzel's parents, like come
That
in.
could be a no brainer.
Yeah.
they-
Yeah.
It's kind of like when
For sure.
Adina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth showed up in the first Wicked movie. Like
Mhm.
it showed
Yeah.
they don't have a huge part, but here you are. Here's your homage to the people who created these characters.
Mhm.
When The Little Mermaid was announced, I was very much on board for Zendaya because Disney did announce they wanted to hire a black actress to play
Mhm.
Ariel. I was like, Zendaya, we know she can do the hair color because she did it in Greatest Showman with the hot pink hair. You just tone that down.
I mean,
And
she's
she
just
has an amazing
fantastic in
voice.
general.
So, but then they went with, what was it, Haley Berry?
Haley Berry. Mm-hmm.
Haley Bailey.
Bailey. And
Bailey.
she was
Halle
okay.
Bailey.
I don't know. It was okay.
I want to say Halle Berry, but I know that's
Right.
not. I think she's Halle
That was the
Bailey.
thing was like everybody was like, "You cast Halle Berry?" I'm like, "No, that's not."
She's going to be a teenager?
I didn't care for Little Mermaid that much. Just like I probably won't care about Moana. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Taylor because we're going to talk about Run Disney and Disneyland.
Are you dreaming of your next adventure but overwhelmed by planning? Magical Travel has you covered. With over 24 years in the business, we specialize in Disney destinations, Universal Studios, cruise vacations, and all-inclusive resort getaways. Our services are 100% complimentary when you book a vacation package with one of our knowledgeable agents. Request a free quote to start the planning process at www.magicaltravel.com. Mention our podcast to be connected with one of our agents you are listening to.
And we're back. We go on some random stuff during that commercial break. Every time it's just completely random. So Taylor's with us this week because she's done Run Disney out in Disneyland. We want to talk about that some. Unfortunately, those races are concluded for the time being because Disney is looking at expanding out there. So to help with that, they want to make sure that they give the runners the best experience possible. And with all the construction that's fixing to happen, they can't do that. But before we get really into the running, I want to let Taylor talk a little bit about something that she's involved with that's pretty cool. We hear a lot about this company called not company, it's a charity. It's Give Kids the World. They do a lot for Make-A-Wish kids. It's where they all go and they can get the need they want while they're staying at a completely free vacation for Walt Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld, Legoland. All those people bring those characters into the village. There's stuff for them to do. Anybody can go volunteer to be there. It's a great thing. Taylor does something with another group with Gary Sinise, and the name's completely going past me, but it's for more of families that have lost members, families with kids that have lost members for military and first responders. So Taylor, can you give us a little bit of information about that, just so people are aware about this and if they want to volunteer, maybe if you know how they can get into it?
Yeah, so I have for the last 3 years now been on the mental health team specifically for the Disney in December event that the Gary Sinise Foundation puts on. So I'm a licensed mental health counselor by day and a travel advisor by night. But anyone is able to volunteer for this event. And essentially what it is it's an all expenses paid Disney World vacation for family members of Gold Star families, essentially. So in military terms, that would mean that you have lost someone to military action. And just within the last few years specifically, they have added a second week for families of first responders who have fallen. And so it's a really meaningful trip. It's mushing my two worlds together, obviously, being a Disney lover and also a mental health counselor. And we are in the parks. We are at the resort. We all stay at Coronado Springs Resort because they have the big convention center there. And it's just an opportunity for these kids and teenagers as well, and mostly moms, as we can assume, but dads as well, I've seen, just get to have that sense of community and make new memories. And the reason why it's in December is obviously that's a really difficult time for these families because that's when a lot of the holidays are that we celebrate. So it's just an opportunity to connect and have a good time, make some good memories. It's very, very heavy. I will say I have to keep myself in check throughout every day, especially during the one morning that we're in Magic Kingdom by about 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. for what we call the Walk of Gratitude. So there's a bunch of Disney cast members that line up on Main Street, and I've always done the first responder week. So you'll have policemen and firefighters, and they clap and they cheer, and it's snoping down Main Street, and we all make our way up to the castle, and the kids release letters up to heaven to their fallen family member. So it's
Literally
very
just gave me
emotional.
goosebumps, Taylor.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's truly amazing. If anyone is interested in volunteering, you're able to, even if you are not a mental health counselor like I am, you can be non-mental health related and still volunteer just to be there for support, kind of watch over the kids and the activities. But yeah, look into the Gary Sinise Foundation every December. First and second week of December specifically.
That is like also the most, like, on top of being what it is and why you're going around Christmas and the holidays like that. That's probably the best time to go to Disney because of how decorated it is.
Yeah.
Like my very first trip with Beth was over Christmas because I wanted her to have that memory of how beautiful the place could be. So what could go wrong when the castle looks as beautiful as it does, when Hollywood Studios looks like it does? I mean, those are all going to be really good memories that you can keep with your family and just remembering the fallen family member that you're there to remember. I would love to do it. If I can figure out a way to do it, I probably will. Give Kids the World's a great organization itself. And it's heart-wrenching because, you're dealing with kids who are fighting a whole different fight than the kids that are going with the Gary Sinise. I can relate more with the Gary Sinise kids because I lost my dad at such a young age. Not to the same thing, but I can see what they were. I could relate to what they were going through, but not having those memories. So the Give Kids a Village, seeing these kids fight a fight with their health, it's just so crazy. But either one, great organizations. I very, very much recommend trying to get involved or donate to one of them. I don't know. Can you donate to the Gary Sinise Foundation? Do you know of that? Or is it just strictly volunteer type stuff?
I don't know off the top of my head in terms of like financial donations, but what I do know popped up last year is that specifically for the first responder week, they build a patch wall for the kids. And essentially, patches are really big within the first responder community. You get a patch for your fire department, your police station, your Department of Corrections. And they were looking for more patches last year, so that way they could find representation from all 50 states. And
Cool.
so I know they were looking for donations for those last year. I know I posted that actually in our Magical Travel Agents page because I know a lot of you guys are service connected in some way. But I do know specifically for the first responder week, they are typically looking for patch donations.
And
the kids get to make a little leather vest out of them and they put them on display and stuff.
I did just Google it, and you can just donate to the Gary Sinise Foundation. It's right on the website. It says donate, and it gives you options like for a one-time or monthly donations.
That's cool.
They also have a podcast, I know, as well. I haven't personally listened to it quite yet, but they have the Gary Sinise Foundation podcast. And it's like actual Gary Sinise, by the way, too. Like the Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan. And that's the last night of the event as well. They have the Lieutenant Dan band come and play. And oftentimes Gary is there. And they throw stuffed animals out for the kids at the end. And it's just the best experience. It's a tough one. You definitely have to be prepared going into it and recognize, what you're there for. But it's the most rewarding and the best Disney trip that I get to do every year. And obviously, it's all of us do. I do a lot of them. So it stands out.
Well, thank you for
really
volunteering and doing that. That's an amazing thing. I know I'm not affected by it, and I probably will never be affected by something like that. It means a lot to those kids that you're there for them, whether they talk to you or not. They see somebody that's there to love them. So that means a lot. I hate to get this segment started on such like a low note, But like I said, I want people to know that this happens. You see it on.
I didn't know it happened until you just told us about it. And as much as we talk about Disney and we get updates, I feel like every day there's tons of emails coming through from multiple sources and your feeds, your Instagrams, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. And I've never heard of that. So it is nice to see people give back. And like, that's such a great time to go. And like you said, and there's nothing to take away from like Make-A-Wish kids or different charities of kids. But, I will say it never occurred to me that children of vets or, service people, like you said, to take care of them because, they might be quote unquote healthy and normal, but they're not. Losing a parent's a huge, huge deal. That's really cool that they do that.
And it's one of those things that we need to know as a guest of the parks at that time frame. There's a lot of these families that will be there those first 2 weeks of December. So just keep that in mind when you see these parents that are trying to deal with a crying children. The other half might be just completely gone from their lives. So
we are all easily recognizable too. So if you are visiting during those first 2 weeks of December and you see someone who's in a red t-shirt or sweatshirt, is 100% someone who is with the organization. And specifically, that red shirt means that they're a family member of a fallen hero. So everybody gets a different colored t-shirt. Within my team, we all wear purple, so the kids call us grapes. They know to look for a grape if they need a fidget or a Kleenex or whatever it is.
That's cute.
But yeah, you'll see a lot of red, and I'm talking like thousands of people as well.
Wow.
Like these are really, really big events that are taking up a lot of space at Coronado Springs. So if you're ever looking for availability, do keep that in mind. It's going to be slim to none unless you're in the tower because they don't assign any of us to Grandestino. But yeah, the availability will be a little hard to come by, even though that's a really big resort.
it also shows you no matter what, Disney's always thinking about the family first. But like they could have easily said, now Gary's probably paying, like the foundation's paying for a lot of this for the park to be closed out and all that stuff. Or there's their little events like the walk and everything, the rooms. But Disney is probably giving them a good deal to be able to do a lot of this stuff because they understand this is family.
The experience is worth it. I mean, it would be easy for a corporation like Disney to stroke a check and never have to like interrupt other guests that are paying to, they do have to account for, they can't sell as many tickets that day and they can't, like you said, sell those rooms at premium prices during Christmas and things like that, so it's easy for corporations to like stroke a check and be like, we did our donation for the year, give us our tax write-off. So it's really cool that the experience there is what matters, not really the money that they're raising.
Yeah. And even like American Airlines, for example, is the partnership that they get for air. And so they're all chartered flights, and every single flight attendant, every single pilot that's flying one of those planes is doing so voluntarily to be able to get these kids to MCO. And they'll do, like the big spray overs with the fire trucks when they land, and they charter them right off onto motor coach buses. We cheer when they arrive. It's a huge deal. And the other thing that I think is cool about it is there's no cap on it. So these kids can go every year up until they turn 18.
Wow.
And then they can become alumni kids and they can still come back, and now they're serving and giving back in a different way. So it's really cool. There's a very strong community within it. And they remember you. I have kids who now look for me every year and they're like, that girl with the long brown hair, she's always wearing mini ears. Is she here? And, my colleagues will be like, yep, she's here. Let me go get her.
And the grape.
Yep, exactly.
So that's the downer moment. It's a great thing. I'm not trying to bring us down in a time, but like I said, I wanted to be made known of something that Taylor does. I mean, it's an amazing thing. She's taking out time out of her year, out of her week at a time to spend with her family to make sure other families are having a great time and don't have to focus on such loss. Just consider doing what you want to with that information. Volunteer, donate, do what you can. Great organizations down there, and Disney supports them. So that's the other thing, is that we're supporting these families as well. So let's get to a little bit lighter note now. So Run Disney, Taylor has been on 2 podcasts before. Her first one was her very first trip to Disneyland in California with Universal, and then her next one was Run Disney. So now we're going to take them and mash them together and say, what's it like running in Disneyland? So first and foremost, what race did you run?
Yeah, so I went out and I did the Disneyland 10K solely because the theme was Sorcerer Mickey. And this is my favorite version of Mickey. I'm a big Fantasmic girl. So as soon as I saw those medals and those themes come out, I was like, I've got to go back to Disneyland and I've got to go to Run.
think I text you or message you on Instagram because when you signed up for it, I'm like, I have to do this too. And I just couldn't make it work. But the Sorcerer Mickey's my favorite Mickey as well. I wish I would have made it though. So let's just start with the big thing is like, what's the biggest difference when it comes to Walt Disney World event and the Disneyland event? Like where's the expo at? Like, is it easy to navigate? That type of stuff.
Yeah, so the expo I actually liked a lot better in Disneyland than I prefer at Disney World because I have done runDisney twice now. Yeah, twice now on the East Coast and once on the West Coast. And so I specifically went out of my way to make sure I stayed at Disneyland Hotel for the race weekend because they hold the expo at the Disneyland Hotel Convention Center. And so it's all in one building. There's a bottom floor. There's a top floor. It's a lot smaller than what you would find at ESPN Wide World of Sports here on the East Coast for runDisney. But I did not mind that because it is incredibly overwhelming. It's almost like its own little theme park day when you go to Wide World of Sports to get your bib and your shirt and your merch and all of the things. So I really liked that. I think that was one of the biggest things that I was like, I wish that they would take a note from Disneyland and do it over here because it was just one-stop shopping. You're not in 3 different buildings. You're not doing 1,000 steps, to get from one spot to the other because every step counts, obviously, if you're in Disney, if you're runDisney. So the expo was the biggest difference for sure.
Was it virtual queue to get into the expo like it is in Walt Disney World?
Yes. If you were interested in any of the actual Disney merch that they had, it was virtual queue. Just for the first day, though, which is also when you want to go, ideally, if you're there, because then there's the best availability. They also did have a separate virtual queue for the Brooks runDisney collection as well.
Side note, the Brooks you can still buy online if you're a member of the Brooks website. A lot of those you can get. I just looked at the 70th anniversary shoes today. I was like, do I really want these or no?
I'm like really close to buying a pair of those Brooks.
When we were in Disney World and they were doing runDisney, Disney World, I felt like every 5th person I saw had the Minnie Mouse red and white polka dot Brooks on. And I did make a point to compliment most of them when I saw them. I was like, I like your shoes. I like your shoes.
See, I have the Sorcerer Mickey New Balance shoes that are absolutely horrible.
I have the Disney Princess Vans, and they're great.
So when it came to race day itself, I know that Disneyland, we all know, we've all been to Disneyland, that Disneyland is very opposite of Walt Disney World, where you don't have much space to actually do anything. I know from reading stuff, the half marathon goes all the way out, or used to at least go all the way to Angel Stadium and then back. So you're running a lot of off-road, quote unquote, off-road, off-property stuff. What was the 10K like? Were you off-property a lot? Were you on property, or was it about the same?
So I feel like the 10K would be the longest distance that I would ever want to do in Disneyland for that exact reason. I feel like if you're paying the money for runDisney, which is significantly more than if you do a non-runDisney race, you want to be in the parks, right? That's the experience that you're paying for. And that's not to say that they don't kind of fluff up, for lack of better words, what the street running looks like. They'll have music, they'll have choirs, they'll have characters, but they can't really do that even on the streets in Anaheim like they can in Orlando. And that's because it's not Disney property. The Disney property in Disneyland is just the parks, and that's it. Whereas in Disney World, yeah, you have 4 parks, 2 water parks, but you also have all of the acreage in between that Disney owns. And so they can shut the roads down for any length of time. And yeah, it's inconvenient to everyone who's driving around, but it doesn't really matter. Whereas the city of Anaheim is saying, listen, we need our roads open by a certain amount of time. And so I know that was a big concern that I had was, what if I get, a really far back corral? I'm not the fastest runner. I'm just here for a good time, because they're very strict about getting swept out there because they only can have the roads open, or closed, I should say, open to runners for a certain amount of time before the city has to reopen them, because it's a whole city. So that was a little stressful, I will say. I was far from the back, and, I was far within the pace requirement, so it was okay. But I know there was a lot of complaints about that from other folks that were in the Facebook group with me that came from Disney World racing. It was like, I got swept. I was at like a 16:02 pace. What happened? And they're like, well, there is a 16-minute pace requirement, and you were 2 seconds behind that. And so they have to remove you. I do think that's really tough.
Are the balloon ladies out there to help you keep pace?
Yeah, they are. And like I said, they are like on it, like to a T. Because I know plenty of people that have done runDisney, like starting at Epcot like they always do, and well beyond a 16-minute pace. But because they had a really good corral, it didn't matter. They never caught up with the balloon ladies. But they will catch up with you because there's
I
not multiple waves out in
my
Disneyland.
my first half marathon for Run Disney was Star Wars half, and I almost got swept. That was my real one. My first one was the last Wine and Dine at night, but that was half of a half because it stormed in Animal Kingdom. And I remember coming out of Animal Kingdom for that Star Wars race, and the balloon ladies passed me like, "You gotta get going faster, or you're gonna get swept."
Yeah.
And it was like 2 miles later. I'm still going and passing the mile marker, I think 12, and the police on bikes were like, "You're fixing to get swept, but if you can make it to this turn," which was a dirt road into ESPN, "you'll be good." And I made it. I mean, I finished it. That was like a 4.5 hour, 5 hour half marathon. But I was anxious the entire time. Like those miles,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can see the bus behind me. I'm trying to, like, oh my God.
Yeah. And you have that little bit of a buffer because they're a bit more lenient,
Right.
but there is no leniency out there because there can't be. And so, I understand the frustration, especially for folks that have done Run Disney over here before. They're like, this has never been an issue. I trained the same. I trained at the same pace and I got swept. And that even was happening for the 5K. And that's a kind of little hidden gem about the 5Ks at Walt Disney World. You're not going to get swept. I mean, realistically, if you're
they
going
don't
to
have a
project it to
pace
take 8
requirement,
hours,
right?
no, technically it's still a 16 minutes, but there are no balloon ladies. There's no timing done for the 5K. So you can absolutely crawl the entire thing, whereas you cannot do that in Disneyland. Because even that, they still need a little bit of road access.
They need to be able to, like at Disney with Epcot, because the Walt Disney World Epcot, the 5K is the parking lot in the theme park. Everybody's going to run the 5K or walk the 5K before the theme park opens, so they can get people in and out before they have to, and clean the parking lot before they start letting in the first guest. Versus Disneyland, like Taylor was saying, they have to have some roads closed, and there people have to go to work on Friday morning.
Yeah. And it was a Friday for the 10K specifically. And you don't start inside the park, which was no shocker for me because you don't start inside of Epcot. You start out in the parking lot. But because you're on the street, again, you're dealing with city limits. So, for example, there's no fireworks to start at the starting line. Everyone's waiting with their phones out for the fireworks to go off, and there's a countdown, but there's no fireworks because who wants fireworks going off in their backyard at 5 o'clock in the morning for
They're literally trying
8
to
groups
sleep.
of runners to start? Exactly. On a work day, nonetheless. So
I want to hit
if
the
you're
snooze
wanting
button.
the big fanfare and things like that, you definitely want to stick with the Walt Disney World races. I think the Disneyland Run Disney crowd is definitely the people like myself who just wanted to have that experience over there, or the people who are locals, which we know are most of the Disneyland crowd anyway.
It's the serious crowd, you're there for a reason crowd, more than just like me.
Yeah.
I would not want to do this in a million years, so there's no way I would go there. But like you said, the 5K, if you wanted just to say you went and you weren't training in Disney World, you could do that one because, like you said, it would be a much more relaxing process. I won't say easy because none of it's easy.
So are you planning on doing a half marathon in Walt Disney World so you can get the castle to coast medal since you've done the 10K?
So the coast to coast is now null and void because I didn't do a half in Disneyland. And so even if I did one over here, I wouldn't qualify because you have to have a half on both coasts, half or
the
more.
10K,
Even if they don't offer it, that sucks. Because you did complete
I mean, I
something
would
over
like to
there.
do a half marathon at some point because the longest distance I've done so far is a 10K, but I would not be able to get coast to coast because it has to be the half.
I could have sworn it was the 10K and then
You can do the 10 miler at Disney World and the half over there, but it can't be the opposite.
I was
That's
kind of
serious
looking
business.
forward to you saying you're going to get it.
No, I
I feel like
wish.
you should just for the effort alone. That's a lot.
Right?
Back in the
know.
day when the cruise line was quote unquote not doing so well right after marathon weekend, they would do the Castaway Challenge. So you'd run any of the races in Walt Disney World, get on a ship, and go run the Castaway 5K, and you'd get that medal.
You just ran on the ship for 5K?
No, you'd run on the
You
Castaway.
do it on the island.
Oh, I thought they had you running around a ship, there's a trail set up. I was like, there's poor people on that boat. Get
I've
those
done the
runners.
Castaway 5K. It is so boring. you are like in the middle of foliage for all 3 miles. And I also did it in July when I went last year. Would not recommend doing a
On an
5K in the
island?
Bahamas in July on an island. Yeah. But I got
Sand,
the
all
medal.
that
The medal's
mess.
cool.
We're doing that in July. We're going to run the Castaway 5K, so we can just say we've done it. Bethany has.
Yeah.
I
The
have.
medal's cool.
Yeah, the first cruise we went on, it was the hard plastic Mickeys, and now it's the nice rubber ones that like the kids get. So, for the entertainment, you kind of touched on it, but what was it like on the road when it came to like, did you have characters? Like, what characters were there, type stuff?
Yeah, so I think another really big difference that, again, I think Disney World has the upper hand is the pre-race entertainment. So there's a lot of hype that goes on when you're in Disney World in the Epcot parking lot, because again, you're in Epcot's parking lot. They have characters out there. That's typically where like the actual metal theme character will be. So for example, it would have been Sorcerer Mickey for me out in Disneyland in the parking lot, but there is no parking lot. You're on the street. So there really isn't any pre-race entertainment aside from Carissa Galloway, who is wonderful and very motivational. If anyone knows who she is, she announces all of the runDisney races on both coasts. They did have Sorcerer Mickey come out, and they, put the camera on him so you could see him helping count down for each corral to go out. But that, in terms of characters, was very different. There was very little to do aside from stand around and be cold, because it was California at 4:30 in the morning in January. So that was pre-race. I'd say during the race, there wasn't a hole in the streets, but what was cool is just all of the people that live in that area that came out and had cowbells and signs and were cheering and clapping. And so that was cool, just for something a little bit different, because
Really
you wouldn't
nice.
expect, they're not cast members or anything. These are just random people that decide to come in and cheer you on. So that was cool. And I feel like that's probably what people get, for the Boston Marathon or things like that. So that was nice.
That's one of my favorite things when I would run the half here in town, was you're running through the neighborhoods and there are people with donuts or something. Like if you're wanting to try to eat donuts from strangers running down the right, they'd have signs in the neighborhoods. Hey, you go, good for getting up, at least trying, that type of stuff. Disneyland, you have that, or Disney World, when you go through some of the parks, but most of the time, by the time I made it into a theme park as a fat guy running, the people who were in the theme park also were actually in the theme park to go to the theme park. No one was cheering on. They were walking past like, y'all are in our way. We're trying to get to Everest. We're trying to get to
Get
this.
them away.
There were the Terrys, like if you listened last week, where
Go run on a treadmill. Get them away.
So I mean, I kind of like that, being able to, like, the business owners, the home owners, and all that stuff standing out there cheering you on.
Yeah.
What happens if
And
you
it
don't
was
set off
cool.
fireworks at 5 a.m.? They're happy to see you come back.
The kind of like the setup of it was cool too. So the beginning and the end were very road heavy, and then the middle was through both of the parks. So that was another big draw for me as someone who hasn't done anything longer than a 10K yet. When you're at Disney World, you're only ever running through one park if you're doing a 10K or less. And I'm like, I really want to run through like more than one park. Like I'm getting tired of Epcot and the Boardwalk Resort area. And so again, because of Disneyland's tiny size, you get to run through both of the parks, and that still is only about half the mileage, because if you do the Disneyland 5K, you're throughout both of the parks and then you're pretty much done. So they do get fireworks for their start, because they start inside the park, which is cool. But so you're getting the Anaheim action, so to speak, from all of just the random people coming to be, the cheerleading squad at the beginning and at the end, with the parks in the middle. So you kind of keep the adrenaline going throughout, which is nice, except there's one part towards the end that I told my best friend who went out and was my spectator in my cheer squad. It was like the Hill of Death. No lie, I swear this thing was on a 45-degree angle down, a 45-degree angle back up. It was right underneath the Disneyland monorail. It was at mile 4 3/4, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it out of this thing alive. I did.
I was just about to ask about the hills.
It was rough. Everything else was very flat, which was great. That's what I'm used to as a Florida resident. Everywhere I run is flat. But this one hill tunnel thing, I don't even know what you want to call it. I think I blacked out. It was rough. There's no way around it. And I don't even know where it's at. I just knew it was under the monorail somewhere.
Yeah, I was fixing to ask, do you know exactly where it is so I can know where it... But if you're going down and back up, it's got to be the backstage, right?
It was definitely backstage, yeah.
Okay.
And it was, like I said, more of like a tunnel.
Yeah, so there's a tunnel that connects DCA to Disneyland backstage stuff on, I think, the bus side. So that was probably where you were at. I'm not completely positive. I've never
Yeah,
ridden.
that sounds about right, honestly. But it was funny because my best friend was like tracking my time because the 10K is time. So there's a chip in your bib, and so you can give people your bib number and they can kind of track where you're at. And
That's
he's
really
like,
cool.
"Where are you at?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm just in this tunnel thing." And he's like, "Did you slow down? Like, what's going on?" And so when I finished, I was curious. I looked at my split times, and my split time for that mile was so much slower than the
I was gonna
rest
say,
because I
did
would
you
have had a
eventually just
PR.
walk? I would have just walked up the hill. I'm like,
I
can't
did,
do it.
yeah. It was honestly worse going down the hill because I'm like, I have my momentum going, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it back up. But yeah, so watch out for the tunnel of death if and when they ever bring back the Disneyland races towards
That's
the
mean that they
end.
put it at the end.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
that's
rough.
mean at the end.
You'll be surprised at what
Yeah,
the race planners do to put you through torture. Like the Montgomery half,
seriously.
you take a turn, you're at like mile 10 or 11 of a half marathon, and you turn onto this road. It's the governor's mansion is on it, and you look, and it's just this huge hill, and it's steep, and it's like, oh my God. And you get to it in the Run Like a Girl. They're usually stationed at the bottom of the hill, and one lady's just running up and down it all the race, and she's like, "You can do it, you can do it, you can do it." I'm like, "Look, I know you've been running up and down this hill for a while, but I've ran up and down all these hills and plus 10 miles, so I'm exhausted. Can you not like rub it in my face that you can run up and down these hills?"
They're being encouraging.
Yeah.
They're not rubbing it in your face.
When you're that far into a half marathon,
It's rubbing it in your
it
face.
kind of feels like rubbing it in your face.
I was just about to say, as someone who's never trained for a half marathon or a 5K, 10K, you don't know this, Taylor. I don't know if you know this, but I signed up for a 5K and then forgot, and then the day came and I had to run it.
Oh
And I was
no.
like, as a non-runner, it was terrible. But anyway, like when you are training for that, do you train with hills? Like I know the Couch to 5K thing people have on their phone, or so I had never thought about. I just assumed it was like treadmill running, like you just run almost flat. So when you train, do you train with hills in mind? Like you said, you're in Florida, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I don't really have a choice because I live in Tampa, like actual Tampa, so I live in the city and there are no hills.
oh, so you
That
like
being
outdoor
said,
run,
most
not
of
treadmill run.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a treadmill runner. I like to be outside, which is also tough in Florida for humidity
I
reasons,
was gonna say, bless
obviously.
you.
But yeah, but because mostly like I am into the Run Disney races, there is a 5K that I do every year at the Tampa International Airport, actually, that's out on one of the runways, which is cool. It's how I got into my running journey was by doing that. And that's flat. Disney's flat. So I was like, this tunnel of death, like this is the end of me. Like curse you,
What are
Mickey
these
Mouse. I
hills?
will never do this again.
Fun fact
So
about
I
the
don't train for them, but realistically speaking, I'm sure that people do if they know that they're training for a race with hills or if they have hills accessible to them at home.
No.
fact about the airport races, they don't have a time limit either. So you can just keep running up and down that tarmac all you want, and if a plane comes, it's just going to run over you. So
Oh my God.
Right. You just move out of its way.
you said you would like to go back out there and do a Disneyland race. Anything you would like to see Disneyland do differently for their run weekends?
I do think something that was really strange to me was the corral pacing in terms of like releases. And so at Disney World, there's a lot more people, like a lot more people. So there might be corrals A through H, and that's the group that you go out and run with, but they're broken up into like 5 different groups per corral. So if you're in Corral D and they're starting the race with Corral A at 5 a.m., you still might not be going out until after 6 a.m. Whereas in Disneyland, there's so few people because there's no space, obviously. They let the whole corral out at once. And so it's like rapid fire. And so because I knew there wasn't any pre-race like entertainment or festivities, I didn't get there super early. And so I felt like I was really rushed for time. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm in Corral E or whatever it was. I need to stretch. I need to get ready. I need to, get my energy up and going. And then before I knew it, I was out on the course. And so I do wish that they would maybe pace things a little bit slower again, just because you're so squished out there. I think that was really tough too. I like had this
Yeah.
thought in my head, I'm going to go to California and I'm going to PR because it's Sorcerer Mickey and this is going to be my best race. And there were so many times where I had to basically stop because there was just no space to be able to
Oh.
run. And so I think they need to spread things out a little bit more people wise, just because they can't, like, space wise. Very, very tight, the course out there.
I'll also ask this, just because we lost Jeff Galloway it was the Wednesday or Thursday before the Princess Half, was just a couple weeks before your race. Did they do anything special for Jeff out there like they did for Disney World?
So Jeff's last race weekend was my race weekend. So he was there. I think that's really special just because I love the Galloway method. So to know that I was at the last Run Disney race weekend that he was a part of before he passed is really special. So the timing was fortunate for me, really unfortunate, obviously, for everything that happened thereafter. But
I was thinking about
yeah.
the marathon weekend and then the Disneyland. I thought vice versa those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was flip-flopped.
Yeah, it's like, so just to mention, if those who are listening that don't know, Jeff Galloway is like the ambassador to Run Disney. He was an Olympic runner. We're joking about the Olympians who went to do
Disney on
on
Ice.
ice. And here's
Yeah.
a marathoner coming over and being the ambassador for Run Disney. And he did this Galloway method, which was the run walk. That's what that's what I started doing. And that's what I used a lot of when I was running. A lot of us looked up to him. He lost his life. I think he had some type of neural thing that happened like right before Princess.
Mhm.
So his daughter is still I think it's his daughter. It's either his daughter or daughter-in-law is the race
Daughter-in-law.
announcer for the Run Disney stuff. So she's still there. And the big thing for the end of the half marathon at Princess was that the Pacers all got together and crossed the finish line. That's the first time that a non-racer finished the race last, and they made it a big to do because it was for Jeff. And they put his chair out at mile 13 so that you could pay respects. Big loss to the Run Disney community for that. I've been meaning to bring that up, but I figured this was the best podcast to do it in since it was Run Disney themed. And we started on a sad note with Taylor with the Run Disney stuff and the Gary Sinise. So why not kind of bring it back down right before we get out of this thing?
Way to go, Jason.
So anything else you want to share about the Run Disney out there in Disneyland that you would, for anybody listening to this in the future when Disneyland has re-announced the runs in maybe 5 to 10 years?
I hope that they bring them back. I definitely want to go back and do it again. Like I said, I would only ever max do a 10K out there because I'm not flying all the way across the country to run on streets when I have a city that I live in and can run here. I think the biggest thing that was hard for me that's kind of not related is, well, Disney World, isn't super exciting for me just because I live an hour away and I'm there all the time. And so when I do Run Disney weekend, I have no problem staying at my resort and going to the pool and having a movie night with whoever I'm with and saving my feet. But when you've only been to Disneyland once before, it doesn't matter if you're going out there to run. And so I learned my lesson the hard way. And I was nonstop for the first 2-3 days that I was out there. And my last day at Disneyland was the day of my race. And so I finally, the day before, stopped myself and I said, I need to go put myself away. I need to save my feet. So that is my fair warning to everyone who is more of a Disney World local. You can't go to Disneyland expecting to have a Disneyland vacation if you're going to Disneyland for Run Disney, because you will regret it. I did just fine. My feet survived. My pace was right where I was hoping for it to be. But it is very hard to go out there and not want to be in the park. Even so much so as Paint the Night returned the weekend that I was out there and I chose not to go watch it because I knew I had to go to sleep. And Fantasmic, and that's really saying something for me, for anyone who knows me and my love for Fantasmic. So,
Sorcerer Mickey.
2:30 a.m. wake up call comes way too fast to be able to go in and watch Fantasmic the night before. So yeah, that's my warning. Take it from someone who knows and learn the hard way.
Well, we hope that you can come out with us to the Disneyland training in June, and you can see Paint the Night. Hopefully, they're still doing it. They haven't announced anything yet, but see Fantasmic.
I feel like it's not going anywhere.
I think they need to keep it. Like, it is really a staple out there. Well, we very much appreciate you coming on and talking about Run Disney and Disneyland and the Gary Sinise Foundation. Everything very, very much appreciated because well, especially Gary Sinise stuff. We know about Run Disney and Disneyland.
Yeah.
Educating people on what the Gary Sinise Foundation is doing is a great thing for our listeners and even for us. And hopefully we can all get out there and do a Run Disney race.
Like,
at
can we do
Disneyland.
a Castles to Cauldron 5K, 10K? Come on, Terry.
I'll be a balloon lady.
No, you have to keep pace.
There
then.
you go.
So
I'll be the balloon lady in the back to encourage.
the only, like, I want to do a 10K or a half. So it'd probably have to be Princess, because as we're recording this, the Disney World Marathon weekend just went on sale last week and sold out like within 2 hours, like usual. So it'd have to be Princess weekend next year.
I kind of
But-
want to do the 10 miler, like the Springtime Surprise 10 mile one.
And those are okay. I want to run through the castle. I've never run through Magic Kingdom. So I want to run
I
through
would
Magic
love to run through
Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom.
So the 10K or the half marathon are the only ways you can run through the Magic
I
Kingdom.
feel like I've run through Magic Kingdom a lot.
Yeah, but not like this.
I feel like I've run through there a lot.
So
I
I
will
said,
say that was my favorite part of the Disneyland 10K was you didn't run through the castle, but you ran by the castle. And so I finally have my castle picture from Run Disney. It's just the baby castle and not the big castle.
it's a better castle to me than Cinderella Castle. But I do think we should all get together and try to run a 10K at least, so we can get a Magic Kingdom shot. Get
Terry's
Rachel, we'll
face.
just find Rachel and Terry.
I don't
We
know
can
why
just
you love all
Photoshop
of
you
it.
in, Terry.
I literally like have a list of things that I hate. Scary movies are up there. Running is up there. Lots of seafood. And Jason, you put our favorite things in order and they're inverse. He's like,
Oh, I
let's
don't
go to Hollywood Horror Nights. Let's run. Let's wake up at 2:30 a.m. to run. I hate waking up early.
Dude, I
It's
didn't
in
do
the
it.
opposite of
But
anything
coming
I want
from
to do.
someone who also hated
It's
to
a
run
sacrifice.
and started training back in July to do my first 5K in November, I thought I was going to hate it. But then, like, I would find myself, like, on my days off, like, from going to the gym and, like, running, going, like, oh, I actually feel so much better after I run or doing these things. So, I don't know.
We'll take all the fitness classes you want. I will do anything,
How about this?
but
They do the-
run.
They do
I'll
the
speed walk.
sunrise.
Is there an old ladies mall walker club that Disney gives a medal out for? I'll join them.
They do the sunrise yoga.
Yeah.
You can be our
They do.
sponsor for that. You can go and tell us how that was. Heather and Renee did that this past, well, I think at Princess Weekend.
Yeah, they always
Yes.
do it for Princess Weekend.
So you can go do that and you can tell us how the yoga was, and then we'll go and run the race. We don't have to run together. I mean, I'm a fat guy, so I'll probably be further behind with a corn dog or something chasing.
I want to do
But-
a 10K.
Gotta be
I
ready
really
for
do.
June.
I Run Disney. I would love to do a 10K.
So we'll make that happen. We'll just sign Rachel up without her knowing. And guess
I
what,
think she
Rachel?
likes to run either. She already said her and Terry would be like just cheering us on.
Yeah, you
from the
guys need
finish line.
support. Moral support there for you.
We'll have everybody else. Bethany will be running with us because I told her if we're doing Princess, she'd run. So, and she's worked so hard to be where she's at.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day when
Princess
your
is
like
fun.
toe jams are falling off and your like muscles are seizing, then Rachel and I can go out and do like content while you guys are resting.
Well, thank you again, Taylor. Where can we find you if anybody wants to get a hold of you?
Thank you guys for having me back on. It was such a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. If anyone is looking for me, you can find me on Facebook. I'm most active there, Taylor O'Rourke with Magical Travel, or you can email me at taylor@magicaltravel.com.
And I'll say this, Taylor is up there with Heather and Allison and all those that she travels a lot. She's
Yeah.
been on 2 cruises already this year, to Disneyland. And then there's also, she lives in Tampa, like she said. So she's right there at Walt Disney World and Universal. You never know when she's just going to start randomly posting stuff there. Go follow her and you'll get some really good updates at random times. Magical travel in general, we always have agents traveling somewhere. But Taylor's the closest, right, to the theme parks. I think.
Feel like it.
So
I
you
think
were
so,
Blair, right?
Yeah, I think I'm
So-
probably a tiny bit closer than her, but we're both in the Tampa area.
So you're going to get some up-to-date random stuff when Taylor shows up in town, and where she's always doing a
Yeah.
staycation too. So you'll get good content on the resort she's at. For the rest of us, you can
Definitely.
find
I
us at
pop up
Magical
in random
Travel.
places all the time.
Uh-huh.
I'll pull up Facebook and Taylor's like, I'm checking into Art of Animation today. And I'm like, must be nice.
Not Art of Animation. No, at least put me in a better resort.
And I mean, just like,
Riviera.
Ooh.
Perfect. That works. I'm all about an adults only vibe, Don't put me at Art of Animation. I don't need that family suite.
the family suite is great though for an adults only because
It
it's a
is.
lot of room where you can just kick back, relax, and actually have a separate place to sleep and then relax.
I think the family suites at All Star Music's better. I've stayed at both.
She said, keep me away from that pool with all them kids in it.
Yeah,
and that's the bad thing about music. So but for the rest of us, you can find us at magicaltravel.com. Any of us would be glad to help you with any of your family vacations. If you want to find us, Castle Cauldron, on any of the social media platforms, Terry's doing a great job throwing out our random TikToks out there from Taylor Swift to, I don't know what else is up.
Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
She's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing her back.
I filmed a little thing of driving on the Tomorrowland Speedway and sent it to her, and she said, "What is this?"
No, I said, what is this? Is this content for the worst ride in Disney World?
So I was like, I figured you can find something to do with it, but maybe you'll see it. Maybe you won't. It might be the biggest thing that will ever happen on our TikTok. You never know.
We don't know how to work the algorithms.
You just luck out.
Random videos with 42,000 views, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Next week, we'll be talking to Universal because we've been talking a lot about Disney the past few weeks. So maybe Lauren will be with us. Who knows?
Maybe.
Probably not, because it's
Not on Universal Week.
You can't talk about
Let's talk
it.
about
But
Universal.
for sure won't be there. But until the next time, we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye. Are you dreaming of your next adventure but overwhelmed by planning? Magical Travel has you covered. With over 22 years in the business, we specialize in Disney destinations, Universal Studios, cruise vacations, and all-inclusive resort getaways. Our services are 100% complimentary when you book a vacation package with one of our knowledgeable agents. Request a free quote to start the planning process at magicaltravel.com. Mention our podcast to be connected with one of our agents you are listening to if you like what you hear.